So we're here with another episode of the Black Table Talks, where we're trying to get information out to, small business owners and entrepreneurs. And today, I'm happy to hear and bring in another professional service. I think this is our fourth or fifth one, right. And this is a good one. The first accounting firm that we've brought in, CLE Consulting. Is it CLE Consulting firm?
Yes.
That's it.
All
right,
got
it. All right.
First try.
Consulting firm. Yeah. And I'll let you introduce yourselves.
All right. Well, Miltree Sharp. I am one of the managing partners. Have one of the best partners on this face of the earth.
Okay.
Larice Purnell. But we started CLE Consulting firm 4 years ago. We'll be celebrating our fourth year anniversary in 2 weeks. Absolutely. Started off with a shared vision of really changing the financial landscape in our community. Mm-hmm. In our past respective roles, we recognized that our business owners were unable to gain access to capital, which prohibited them from being able to scale and grow. Yeah. And so we both kind of was transitioning in our career and got together. And he could, elaborate on the story of how we got together. But when we got together, it was about a shared mission. Mm-hmm. So we were both missioned and actually just called to help business owners with creating the financial structure that they needed. The rest is history. It was Larice and myself. We had an independent contractor and a part-time assistant. And almost 4 years later, there are 15 of us. And we are hiring a couple of other positions. So just growing, proud of the impact that we're able to make. We talk about this all the time. Like, there's so many people that just don't understand the importance of their finances. And they don't start to want to understand or pursue an understanding unless they get, like, a letter from the IRS. Yeah, and now it becomes critical. Yeah. So we just want to change that, educate our people in our community.
Yeah. No, and
introduce yourself.
Yes, Larice Purnell from Cleveland. Went away to college, came back here, and have worked in the nonprofit area, for-profit, and like Miltree said, 4 years in it. We have been blessed, but it's three things that we made a commitment to when we just started our partnership that I think has resonated and allowed us to have some of the success that we've had thus far. Is we want to make money. If you're in business, we're not a not-for-profit. Right. We are a for-profit business, but we wanted to develop leaders, and then we wanted to make sure we were a blessing to our community. So sometimes, we are you heard us say we're very mission-driven. So a lot of the work you see us just not within the firm, but out in the community, we're very civically engaged. We're both treasurers for multiple organizations, large, organizations like COGC, the Cleveland Public Library. So we do things with the Cleveland BPACF, Jumpstart, many organizations in this community. We do something we're tethered to in some way. So I would just say that, I went out in the community looking to start the business. Miltree was doing the same thing. And everywhere we went, they said, "Have you talked to Miltree?" And they were saying the same, "Have you talked to Larice?" Right. And then we just sat down, and right away, it's like, when you hear something or you have a feeling in your gut, and I tend to go with that feeling in my gut. I call it discernment. And when I met her, I said, okay, this is it right here. And again, like she said, the rest is history. Hundreds of businesses have been impacted by our business. And we're just blessed, man. And we go the extra mile. Because our community truly is not just a couple years behind. We know if we really want to break it down historically, we're hundreds of years behind. So with that, we have to give maybe a couple hundred more hours than the average firm if we really want to see some impact. So
absolutely.
No. Without a doubt, a lot of people see you obviously out in the public doing so many other different things. People don't realize that you're actually an accountant, right? Certified CPA,
finance professional, all of that.
Right.
Yes.
So we the great thing about it is, even for both of us, we laugh about it, but because we don't really post on our social media about our firm, because it really has been word of mouth. So people, when they come to the office, they see Miltree, they're like, "Oh, I know her," or they're like, "Oh, there's Larice," and they're like, "Oh, that's what y'all do." So we're being a little more intentional now in this, day and time to really let people know. Because like you said, with social media, people see you post stuff, but they don't see the 70 hours that we're putting into the office. So that's the main thing. Now, don't get it twisted. The main thing is the main thing.
I mean, and people don't even know. Like when I talk to people recently, I'm like, you need to come to us for payroll. They're like, you do payroll?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, yes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we do 4 things, and we say we're like the 5 guys of accounting.
Okay.
And we're not trying to be the Ponderosa. We want to do the 4 things that we do and do them very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can really stand behind the work that we provide. But it's taxes,
Mm-hmm.
it's bookkeeping and accounting, which is kind of one, payroll, and
Mm-hmm.
business consulting. So that is who we are.
Okay, so I didn't even know that
Mm-hmm.
y'all did payroll services. No, that's good. So one of the main reasons why I'm so excited to bring CLE here, you know, the consulting firm and accounting, and talk about accounting and financials, because I know from personal experience how it separated me from so many other small business owners, because I've been one of those people. I've always stayed on top of that. I've never had an issue with that, but friends, people that come to me for advice, I see, and I'm sure you guys obviously see it way more than I do, how many of us, and I'm not just saying black small business owners, period.
Absolutely.
Color doesn't distinguish
really
between
doesn't.
people dropping the ball on filing taxes. And they want to, one of the things I learned a long time ago, you never ask for the money when you need it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You get prepared before while you think you don't
Right.
need it. So when you do need it, it's not stressful, it's not frustrating. And I'm sure y'all see so many people wait until they get the letter from the IRS in the mail to come to y'all, and they going cry, oh my God, this and that. But they need to get on top of that. So like you said, we're behind. So we talk about it all the time, that we have to do more of educating people,
Yes.
motivating people, for us to get in front of this, to get in front of it and play, not only just play catch up, we need to surpass, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody else, because we're so behind in this. So give me, I know it's so many, but what if you had specific advice for all business owners out there, what is that first thing they need to take care of?
I want to say something, because I thought about this yesterday. I realized I was on the phone with a client, and me and Meltrice deal with this all the time. We are not just your typical accountants. In our community, one thing that we have to understand, so I don't care, when you have other organizations that don't look like us creating, I would say departments to help our people.
Yeah.
The thing the biggest disconnection with that is that we are counselors as well. Because you got to remember, when you come through the door, it's not only that you haven't filed your taxes, you don't have accounting work. Well, you don't trust nobody. I didn't trust my father. I don't trust my mother. Can't trust nobody in the streets. So it's like when they come through our office, we have to overcome that barrier first.
Of course.
So they can feel free to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the other thing, is I would say is, you're only as big as your bank account.
Yeah.
So if I give any words of motivation, so if you got $10,000 in the bank, that's as big as your business is going to be.
Yeah.
So until you put those, typical, I would say foundational principles in place, that's the theory you got to live off of.
Yeah.
So again, if you come to me, you got bad credit, you got $500 in the bank, that's as big as your business is going to be. So that's I guess what I would give.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, we talk about the Fantastic Five all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Before you get out there and you get started, you need to build the right relationships and put the right team around you. And, we say, I was just talking to a client yesterday, and we have so many, these things that we've been taught over the years that are just so wrong. Like, do I have to spend all of my money? I have a net profit. Do I have to spend all of my money before the end of the year? Like those types of things. And that is when I say you have to get professionals around you that can really teach you, because otherwise you're going to fall in so many pitfalls, and then once you're there, getting out of them is tough. So, as a business owner starting up, and a lot of times we think we can't afford this, but you pay not to pay. And so it's like, get somebody on some type of a retainer, and hey, I'm a small business. It can be the Urban League, it can be Jumpstart, but so you can get legal advice, so you can get accounting advice, so you can make sure you have the right insurances in place, so you can make sure you have a relationship with your banker, and then the last one is financial advisor.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have this team of folks where you're not just relying upon your understanding.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're good at our craft and our skill. So you're a real estate person. So you're really good at developing and whatever. But does that make you a good businessman?
Yeah, of course.
Does
not
it
at all.
right?
Not
It doesn't make you a good accountant, right? And so a lot of people watch videos and be like, "Oh, I'm going to do my own bookkeeping."
Yeah.
Well, I tell people all the time, would you watch a dentist extract a tooth and then think because you need a tooth extracted, you're going to extract it?
Right.
No, accountants hone their skill over the years, right? So that they can be really good at what they do and they can help you avoid the pitfalls, just like attorneys.
Yeah.
So, all of these forms that you can go online and get a form and fill it out, you can cause yourself even more harm by doing that as opposed to going to a professional that knows what they're doing and going to help you avoid some challenges. So it's get the right team in place first. It doesn't have to be an expensive team. It can be on a retainer. It can be, again, leveraging some free resources, but you've got to get the right team in place. That's the first thing for me.
Right. So it was one thing that you said, and I tell this to individuals all the time where I suggested that they get professional service individuals, and for those that don't know what professional services is, and that's your accountant, that's your attorney, that's your PR person, that's different advertising and marketing. Those are people that can support HR person or HR companies that can support your business, not necessarily under your roof, but you pay these people to support that.
Yeah.
So I know with the attorney, you have a confidentiality, pretty much. And is that the same with accountants?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Because I know a lot of people, obviously you just said, they come in, but they give you half the story.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to give you all the story,
And I'll say what I think has really garnered some success for us is people know they can trust us.
Yeah.
Like literally, I have clients that could be standing in the same circle, having the same conversation, and I just sit there and I just look at them.
Yeah.
And I listen and I say, okay, you know better than that. But we're going to talk about it in the meeting.
Right.
But no one will ever know. And whenever you have, let's be honest, it's two things that people in our community will hurt you for. Now we're going to talk. We here. We at the table at Black Table Talk.
Yes.
So we here to talk real.
Right.
It's your family and your money.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, of course.
So when it comes to that, we don't play no games.
Okay.
When you come, we want you to be able to get free. We want to be that safe place for you.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to maximize your potential because we have all the information.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're only going to give us half, we're not the firm for you.
Right.
If you're going to give us 1/3 of it,
Yeah.
if you're not going to give us 100% of it,
Yeah.
we are not the firm for you to come to because we want to fully help you
Right.
be able to maximize your potential.
So speaking on that, again, and not specifically with you guys, but I've heard this before.
Yes.
I've heard it, in my own network. I'm not even going to, I'm not going to narrow it down too much because I don't want that person to feel like, a certain degree that they don't go out to hire an attorney that looks like them, that somebody that's more popular, or an accounting firm like you guys that know a lot of people because of what? Oh, then they gonna know I ain't really got it like that.
Right.
I ain't really got that money.
Yeah.
I really can't afford this Benz I'm driving, that BMW I'm driving.
Absolutely.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Do y'all concur?
But the thing is, if you're not gonna be true to it, we can't deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then
you
right,
gotta
exactly.
be real with it for us to deal with it. We say it all the time.
But you gotta know
But
that's probably why a lot of clients are not coming to y'all because of that.
Embarrassment.
They're embarrassed.
But the thing is, if you can afford it, even with your stuff all messed up, imagine what you can do when we help you get it together.
Exactly.
So my thing is, I understand that it's almost like getting naked and somebody telling you what all your faults are. But if that same person can help you fix it, then it's what you should do. But it's one of those things where it can be embarrassing, it can be humiliating because as African Americans, that's kind of like our status symbol. Right? If we can afford it or not, it's our status symbol. But I would like, and Larissa and I talk about this all the time, to change the status symbol in our community to being debt free, to having businesses that are compliant with the IRS, to being able to scale up because there's nothing. We are one of the most articulate, talented, skilled, beautiful community.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else know it about us.
Yeah.
We just haven't figured it out. But when we do, and then we have all of these other things in place, there is absolutely nothing that can stop us from becoming the Staples, from becoming the Walmart, there's nothing, because we have everything else we need.
It's funny. It's funny that you said that, but I'm gonna say this. To comment on what you had just said, and then something else that you just ended with, that unfortunately you can't show that.
Yeah.
You know, you can show the Benz and the fur coat and the jewelry, but you can't show that I'm debt free. Yeah. You can't show that off. You know what I mean?
You can't, but you can, because one thing, philanthropy, and people that you would think had so much money to support organizations in our community that are helping elevate our community and support people in our community are not philanthropic because they can't afford to be.
Of course.
So you can show it.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like every day,
let me say, I've been sitting here on my hands.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here. So, because you're a great example of this. I'm looking at this magazine, right? Career and Lifestyle magazine. You're in it.
Yes.
You're on the cover of it.
Yes, sir.
And I read the story because I saw you post it online, and I was looking. And I want to be clear. We're not saying that you can't have assets and possess nice things.
Right.
Yeah, of course not.
But we're just saying there has to be a balance to it, and there has to be structure so there can be longevity.
Yeah.
What I don't want our people to do is get used to living a lifestyle in their 30s and 40s, and then when they get 60, there was no preparation for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they can't continue that lifestyle. Now they become depressed. It's just like NFL players that we have as clients. You know, you're on the stage, you got all these lights, you're making millions of dollars, and then it's over because your knee got popped out of place and you can't come back from it. And now you just don't know what to do because there was no structure.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this. You got some nice things. You got some nice toys. Like I'm a little jealous of your old school. I'm gonna be all the way real with you. You know. But the reality is, what I was proud to see though is because I know you got structure. So it's okay with that. You know. So again, you pay, like she said, you pay now or you pay later.
Of course, without
but the other thing you kind of talked, and I want to back up a little when you said, I know a lot of people don't come to us.
Yeah.
We've had people tell us, we just had a client last week said, you guys are too public for me.
Yeah.
They said, you're too public for me. But I said, let me be clear with you. Public being a blessing.
Yeah.
Public being on these boards so we can get access for our people.
Yeah.
So when I go on a board, so we're clear, when I go on a board anywhere in the city, when I come on there, I'm not happy to be the only black on that board.
Right,
when I leave that board, I say, if I come on here and I accept this role, I want 2 other seats with me. So I want 2 other people that look like me to be able to have the same opportunity that I have. So again, I just want to clear that up. You know, so y'all hear, when I'm fighting, Meltrice's fight to be at these tables, is to bring access to our people so there's more opportunity for us to scale our businesses.
Of course, without a doubt.
So let's go back to what you said, because we still need to unpack that a little bit, because you're absolutely right. People know that we'll uncover who they truly are from a financial perspective.
Yes.
And that prevents people from coming to us.
Yeah.
But I would say that for me, I would want to come to someone who has a success story, who continues to demonstrate their success, especially if we're talking about shifting where we are to creating generational wealth. Because it's one thing to have possessions of our own, it's a whole nother thing to be preparing your son and your children for it, and to be able to take it over and handle it and not squander it, right? And so it's like, I wish we can shift people's way of thinking. It's like, don't be embarrassed about it. Say, you know what, I messed up. Because we also have people that come and say, I'm all jacked up. Help
They're
me.
open to it.
Help me, right? Because I'm jacked up, but I still have what I need in order to continue to generate this money and shift this thing real quick. And you guys have demonstrated that you have the ability to do that.
And that's what we're here for, though. We're here to change the mindset. Hopefully, that's the goal that we're here, and that's why I wanted to bring you in. One of the things that you were saying earlier, that I don't want to lose sight of that, because I was having a conversation yesterday with a friend, and I had to remind him what you just said, that anything you see out there, every major business in the United States of America started small. McDonald's started with one location. Yep. Burger King, one location, and the idea. Piatas, none of these businesses started with $1 billion in the bank. $1 million, not one. None of them started with, we're going to open 20 locations.
Yep.
Not one, and I constantly remind people of that, especially for us. Again, us as small business owners, I'm not just saying people of color, but obviously that's where the most experience is at. I'm always trying to remind people, create your business with your end goal in mind.
Yeah.
Don't open up the little spot because it's $800 a month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless that's where you want to be in 10 years or 20 years. Open it up, design your business that you can open up a second and third location and they'll be identical.
Yeah.
Take a straw out of them other people's
Absolutely.
hats.
We say small business, but think big.
Yeah, exactly.
We're small business, but we think big.
And that's how we have to be, and we have to follow that, that train of thought. We have to follow that path on what we talk about. So because again, we're trying to change the mindset of small business owners, right? We're trying to change the mindset of entrepreneurs and those that's right there on the cuff of getting in. You're a CLE consulting firm. That's right. You're not Bebe doing accounting on Lee Road, just keeping it real, right? So we know, just like Miss Boone that just left. Bebe. Yeah. We're not listening, but it's levels to this thing. It's levels to this, and people have to understand that.
That's right.
I remember, and I love bringing people on, and I can talk about my personal experiences because I've been doing this for a long time, right? Business, I haven't always been on this level. I started small. So I can remember when I had, and just one accountant, one gentleman, that I had to go to him. He was renting one room out in a shared office space on Lee Road above Cedar Lee movie theaters. So I had to go up, dark room, light in the hallway might not be working, and he had one room. That's it. It was just him.
Right.
I remember when I decided, this, I've kind of outgrown this guy. I need somebody bigger. But I remember I tried to jump too far. And I went and interviewed an accounting firm that was in Beechwood on Chagrin and Warrensville in a tall office building, a firm. I went in and it looked like an attorney firm. 20 accountants in the office, receptionist. You went in the conference room. They brought me in there. Right?
Yeah,
who was
it? And Dogger.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
I know my competition.
Exactly. So they still around?
They're still around.
Okay. So I jumped from the one guy and I jumped up to there. And when they presented the proposal on how much they charged, that discouraged me. That discouraged me.
Yeah.
So instead of finding a middle ground, I stayed with the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I stayed there and I stayed struggling.
Yeah.
So he kept me in that hole. Every year I got letters from the IRS after I filed, after I paid. I was getting letters like, you still owe. This is not right. And I'm like, what's going on? So let's be truthful because this is the reality, right? Y'all are on a different level. And you don't really want the guy that's, selling clothes out of his trunk of his car to try to come to your level. Or maybe I'm wrong.
So let me say this.
All right.
Let me say, because, so this is getting good, man. This is getting real good. I would say is, what she said earlier was, we used to be the Ponderosa.
Okay.
And we realized, just like you just said, you had to choose from the guy in the one room to the guy, on the 15th, 20th floor.
Right.
We understand where we're at, and we're starting to understand that, and we're not apologizing for it. We only want business owners that are serious about their business. What we realized for the first 2 to 3 years, Akeem, was we were out, we wanted to help everybody.
Yeah,
we were mission, everybody who came through our doors, come on through, we're going to help you.
Yeah.
And we realized that person that might be selling clothes out their trunk, but they be the one because he has time on his hand that will kill your reputation.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to go and say, well, I went to Larice and Meltrice, and I was 5 years behind, but I wouldn't return their calls. I wouldn't get the bank statements they needed. I wouldn't get the receipts. I wouldn't follow the practices they would give. So we at this point now realize we still want to help small businesses, but we want to help serious people that, one, are going to pay their bills, two, are going to do the work from their perspective, and are committed to actually scaling.
Right.
One of our advisors said, y'all got to stop messing with people who are not scalable, who have an
teachable,
who have an enterprise mindset. Small business function, but enterprise mindset. So we're shifting. We're shifting now.
So what does that
mean? Let me be a little bit clear about that as well. Is because we are not the accountant for everybody.
Exactly.
An accounting firm for everybody. You're just really clear. And when I talk to clients, I always say you want a right size solution. So to your point, you didn't have a right size solution.
Exactly.
And I tell people we're not going to be the cheapest. We're not going to be the most expensive or somewhere in the middle. But you also have to look at other characteristics of our firm. And really where you're trying to take your business. And like Larisse said, if you're not scaling, if you're not responsive, if you're not, serious about or teachable, then we're not the firm for you. And so we do have, because we're mission-based, we do accept some of those small businesses. But because we're changing, we're accepting less of those and more of those large, I would say, I'm going to say large because we're all small business according to the SBA. But I'm saying those people that are really scalable. So the guy that's in the trunk, we will advise them. Like we will give them 30 minutes to talk to them. But 9 times out of 10, we're going to recommend that they go to like a Jump Start or like we talked about before, Urban League, where they can get free services. Yeah.
So I mean, is it? Can we narrow it down? Can we be clear? Is it a certain amount that they're making from gross revenues? How do you determine, or how should someone determine? Because this is the reality. When we air this, people, like I told my attorney, she's at Fisher Phillips on the top floor. Let's be clear. I want to give people information. I don't want everybody calling you for services if they truly can't afford. She charges that attorney that I brought in at that $650 an hour. That's not for everybody. That's the reality. That's my main attorney, but I do have another attorney. She starts at $375 an hour. You know what I mean? So do you guys have specific information that we can tell people?
Yes. So we can be really clear about that. From a payroll perspective. Our sweet spot is employers that have employees from 1 to 50. So that's our sweet spot right now.
That's
if
huge.
You got one employee, or if you got 50, that's our sweet spot. We definitely feel that. I'm confident that we're competitive and we add extra intangible benefits to bringing your payroll services to CLE. From a tax perspective, right? I mean, we do taxes for individuals and businesses. So just like you can go to H&R Block and get a 1040 EZ, you can come to CLE and get a 1040 EZ, or the C corporations that have to have an 1120. We can do those as well. So we're competitively priced from that perspective. We have a bookkeeping side of the house that does pure bookkeeping. And that's why we can service the mom and pops that just need bookkeeping.
So what do you mean by bookkeeping? Let's be more detailed with that.
Bookkeeping is a track and measure, right? So you're just tracking in an organized fashion your activity in order to produce a profit and loss statement or something that you can transfer to your tax accountant so that they can prepare your taxes. So this is the person that doesn't need the extra strategy, because Larisse and I, we call our clients partners because depending upon the level of work we're doing for you, we're truly partnering with you in a major way. I was just speaking to a prospective client yesterday, and I'm like, there are so many intangible benefits that we don't talk about, nor do we sell, because that's not who we are. But I'm confident that we bring it to every last one of our partners. And just an example, we just met with the big church who has a huge facility. They don't know what to do with it. Guess who they call? So then we meet with someone who needs a facility. So we're conveners, we're connectors. So there are all of these intangible benefits. But from a bookkeeping perspective, you can be a small business. As long as you have the ability to pay what our fee is consistently, we're not chasing you down. We reserve the right to stop service if you don't pay. We will service you in our small business bookkeeping division.
All right, so let's be a little more detailed because I have these conversations with a lot of people I know, right? And my personal experience when I first started with business, and my son will tell you, we used this is like the Bible to me, the Dome Brown book, the weekly bookkeeping journal. Literally in my office right now, I have about 30 of them stocked up for all my businesses over the years because I'm a numbers person, right? I like to touch and feel numbers daily, every day.
Data driven.
Because I'm the guy, you can ask me about when I was in the restaurant business every day, how much did you do yesterday at Songtown, Zanzibar, Jezebel's, Angie's, and I knew it. I knew the busy time when everything changed, and I kind of feel like you don't have to. I just felt like it worked for me to see the numbers where you can touch and feel every day. So when I see small business owners open, I gift them that brown book. It's very simple. It's easy. Keep it on your desk. Recording it every day. But now you're telling me you guys offer those services. Give me an example. So a guy that's just running a small restaurant, right? And he's getting receipts every day. He's running his business. He would send you the receipts every day?
Yeah, we have technology that allows us to do that electronically.
Just scan it?
Yes.
So this is called Receipt Bank. We use a system, and what they do is they upload their receipts to that daily. They get put into our system. But I think even just to speak to that, technology is key. So it's good that you use that format, but today to be competitive, these businesses to be able to track their numbers on a regular basis, that POS system is so robust now that it really allows you to look at your payroll costs. Right. Look at your inventory cost of goods sold, your inventory, you know, how that's functioning, you know, overall from a profitability perspective. So with that being said is technology is really, really important. Absolutely. So what we become is that quarterback to be able to make sure you can collect your receipts. We make sure that all your numbers are going into the accounting system so we can produce those financial statements that will allow you to be bankable and gain access to capital as we talk about growing. So that's fair. And then another thing that's big for us is to make sure that you're audit ready. And they say less than 1 to 2% of people are ever audited by the IRS. But the reality is when it happens, guess what? You've been collecting all your receipts. We're collecting all your data. So we're ready. We tell our clients, you don't have to lose any sleep because we're not going to lose any sleep because we know we've taken you through the proper procedures. So
I got audited last year. So I know. Out the blue.
It's a
just
scary
random
process. But when you're ready, it's not.
Exactly. Oh, it wasn't exactly. It wasn't scary for me. I was actually like, good, because what's the odds of me being audited again anytime soon? So I was happy.
That's right.
So this is my time, and I'm on my game. So let's use an example, a personal experience I have with a friend that just opened up a business and restaurant. He does DoorDash, Uber Eats, and different things. I would like to help more, but I can't because I'm busy in my own hustle. But it was something that just happened maybe 2 weeks ago. I was like, yo, you know, I forgot how it came up, but I was like, yo, you know, have you reconciled your books with your delivery service deposits? Because that happened to me when I first started with Uber Eats, DoorDash. I looked up and was like, man, the bank is sort of like, yo, I wasn't even getting it. The deposit didn't even come. When I looked up my POS system at that time I wasn't using Toast, I was using a different system. That you have to reconcile it. It wasn't it was supposed to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, it didn't, soft touch. It didn't. And when I looked up, I'm like, man, something is not right. I looked up, it was like $20,000 in deposits wasn't going into my account because my POS, it was stuck inside the POS system. So, and it wasn't the delivery service, it was credit cards.
Gotcha.
It was stuck. It was just sitting in the POS. So they had to walk me through it. I had to go over there and I had to go in the back office and reboot something because something didn't trigger, and they got it. And I got my money 3 days later. Is that something that y'all would have caught?
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. And when you talk about from an accounting perspective, us getting the transaction, some things are just going to yell at you. When we look at credit card, when we're doing, month over month comparison on financials, One, you know, if we're looking at just from that perspective, we're going to catch it in the day to day.
Okay.
But from a monthly basis, when you look at and you see your credit cards are down 40%, it's going to yell at you and say your prime, you know, costs are this because your revenue is off. So it's so many areas that we're going to catch that in when we're tying in your POS to what's hitting the bank. So we're absolutely going to be able to catch that. And I'll say it, it's funny you say that because we had that happen with a client with Uber. So it's a couple things with Uber. One, we know Uber's out here charging anywhere from 28 to 32% on our businesses. So we know in the restaurant industry, you're luckily the national average is 3 to 5% of profitability. So if you don't price correctly, and you don't understand what I'm even talking about right now, so you don't know how to properly price your product, you already are working for Uber. So we don't realize you just created yourself a job because at 30%, if you're not looking at the inventory cost, it's at an all-time high right now. Payroll time at an all-time high right now. PPE equipment at an all-time high right now, and you're not watching that bottom line. So even more than maybe a year ago, we are imperative. We're the toilet paper. It's a necessity to have us in your business now more than ever. So
something you said. Again, I'm constantly always talking about to other restaurateurs. I see it from day one when I ask people that's been in the restaurant business, trying to get in the restaurant business, worked in the restaurant business, and they talk about opening up their own thing, and the first thing I ask them, do you know what the average profit margin is? I'm sure y'all have seen it. Most entrepreneurs do not know. And it breaks my heart that they don't, and when they find out, they look like, you joking, right? 5-6%? You're joking, right? From every dollar you bring in the restaurant business, the average restaurant only keeps about 6%. If you're doing good, 8%. If you're doing great, obviously above there. If you really truly know what you're doing.
That's right.
And people don't know. So and people ask me about other businesses all the time, but I'm one of those type of people. I know about restaurants, I know about real estate. Other things I know basic, but I don't know what your margin should be at a car lot. When I opened my car lot, I was an investor. I partnered with somebody, you need to find out this information. Because I don't know. What should the margins be? In business, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming in every business, it's pretty much the same. We know in the restaurant business, you know, your food cost shouldn't exceed 30%. Your labor shouldn't exceed 30%. Your payroll labor shouldn't exceed 30%. You should have 10% designated for advertising and marketing and PR, 10% for professional service, accounting, attorney fees, you know. And if you're doing good, you have 7, 8, 9, 10% left over for your profit. You know, in every business, you have to have, know those margins.
And I'm glad you said that too. And when we talked about what's some advice to give, when we talked about the Fantastic Five, but also knowing your business. And that's real critical. So one of the things that we do with our business owners is we talk to them about the industry. Like the industry standards. What are you comparing yourself to? How do you know that your profitability is right? How do you know you have to know your business inside and out. Really, really critical to a small business owner. But go ahead. I know you're about to say
KPIs.
something. I wanted to key performance indicators.
KPIs, key performance indicators. So those are things that we're going to give you when we're talking and we're doing that monthly, quarterly meeting that we do with you. We're going to sit down and talk about your industry. And the good thing about working with an accounting firm, so we probably do over 60 locations. When it comes to restaurants, we think about all the locations we do throughout the city. So when you have an accountant that does that, what we're able to do is we can do benchmarks. So we're not giving you theory like, well, this is what statistics say. No, we're going to give you what reality says. We can then tell you, well, you know what, this worked for that client. Of course, without telling that client's business, we can say that technology works well with us. You should be using that technology. It can help reduce this cost or whatever the case may be. So that's important to know.
That's something that I learned that the IRS uses also. They look at specific areas of similar businesses, and if you open up a restaurant at Shaker Square and there's 6 restaurants up there and they're all giving them sales of over $1 million, but you come in and say you only doing 300,000, you're going to get audited.
Yeah.
You know, I learned that the hard way.
Triggers.
You know, yeah, it hit triggers. So that's a very interesting information.
You know what, Ken? I want to say, because you just said something.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we'll be like, hey, in the streets, like, oh, they snitched on me.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to business, I tell people, no, you snitch on yourself. You don't need your cousin to call the IRS. You don't need your employee to call the IRS.
Right.
You paying, saying that you made 30,000 and you really made 300,000. Ain't nobody telling you but yourself. So we need to stop saying that. You know, so.
Yeah, if you driving a $300,000 car, but you only claiming you made 30,000,
and then you all over Instagram. That's another thing. You all over Instagram, living in the $1 million home. Driving the $200,000 car.
For sure.
But you didn't even file taxes in 7 years. That's called an asset test. The IRS will come in and do an asset test on you and say, based on your assets that we've been able to identify, and then the income you're filing, some don't match up. And that's when people, end up, embezzlement and all that sort of stuff. Right. But again, we're just here to be good partners. And I will say something else too. Stop listening to your cousin in them. Your cousin been like, your uncle, I've been doing business for 30 years, just the way I've been doing it. But your uncle been in that same spot since you were 13 years old and you're 50 now.
And not even your cousin. I was talking to somebody yesterday and it was like, they said, and I said, I'm sorry, let me stop you. I said, please define who they is. I need to know who they is. That's telling you this. Because it's wrong.
It's crazy. I mean, we see so much of it. I mean, we have to continue to change this mindset, this perspective on how we do business, how we're really figuring out what wealth is. I tell everybody, I just learned the difference between rich and wealth 12 years ago. Well, 15 years ago. It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference, but I grew up thinking rich and wealthy was the same thing. Tomato was totally different. So, but our job is to continue to educate people and, build wealth through knowledge. Right? And that's one of the things that people leave out when they're talking about building wealth. So what are some of the main things with small businesses that you see as regular issues that's coming in? Something that that can help people, like as indicators.
I would say one is social media, to me, has become an issue in our community. It's driving the digital. I mean, we're talking now. It's going to be digital.
Yeah, of course.
Digital can be helpful, but it can be hurtful. And in our community, sometimes we go by the eye test.
Oh, of course.
And we don't do our research.
Yeah, of course. So
you hear me when I teach myself and Montrese, we teach financial literacy. We always say, the same time you put in to Googling that vacation, because how do you go to a country you've never been in before, and you know where the horseback riding is, you know where the race cars is, you know where I'm gonna go get a spa treatment. That took think about that, 3,000 miles away. You figured out which street to go on, where the bus are left and all that, because you did research. But why won't we research the things that we're saying that's going to be our livelihood? It's going to create legacies for our family. So for me, one thing, when people come to us, I'm like, how did you get into this? Because you really don't even know your industry. So I would say that that's something we have to do. One, and then be willing to step out your comfort zone. So it's like, for me and Melcher, we said one of our goals this year was to be in rooms that we're uncomfortable in. I don't want to be around everybody I know. I already know you.
I got you.
I mean, we could talk and have conversation, but I want to be someplace where I go in a room, I don't know nobody in there. They're going to talk about something I haven't been exposed to, so that I can grow and elevate, so then I can bring it back to the community. So,
I would say the answer to that question is fear. I see that as one of the barriers that prohibit African American businesses from growing and scaling. It's the fear of the unknown, and it's the unwillingness, like you said, to unveil yourself, so that you can be educated and so that you can be around people that's going to help you elevate, even if it's painful. I mean, this what Larissa and I have experienced with CLE. We say we failing forward a lot of times because a lot of times it's just like, we've never done it before, but guess what? We're just about to make the call and do it. Right? We've done the research. We think we're comfortable and confident that it's going to work, but you never know until you try it. So it's about just kind of stepping outside of that comfort zone, remembering that fear is false evidence appearing real, and go for it. We talked about making sure you have the right team in place, making sure you know your industry, making sure you try new things, and technology is critical. And then the last thing is thinking about ways to disrupt yourself so that you aren't disrupted. Because when I think about a lot of times what one of the biggest barriers is disruption. Somebody else see that you're doing something really well and be like, oh my God, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it bigger, faster, and with more efficiency. Right? And so they do a little bit more than what you've done and what you're willing to do, and next thing you know, they kick you out the game. So it's all about always constantly thinking about, how do I disrupt? How do I disrupt myself? And that's kind of crazy. We talk about that all the time. Like, how are we going to disrupt ourselves next? But you didn't put this infrastructure in place. Now you're thinking about how you're going to knock it down. Why? Because if you don't do it, your competitor will. And so those are some of the things that I would say.
No, that was strong right there. That was strong. I'm a firm believer in that for sure, because people get complacent all the time. And that they get for me, I tell people in my personal life, I had some trouble and I had to go do some time, some prison, but it was the absolute best thing that ever happened to me in my life. Because before I went, I had the restaurant, I had the club, I was driving the BMW, I was driving the Escalade, I owned the house, I had the motorcycle, I had what people would think is a certain level of success. But I easily found out it wasn't at all. I was eye deep in debt. Everything. And within 3 years, I lost it all. After being in prison, coming home with absolutely nothing and having to start all over again. But it was the best thing that happened in my life to let me know that it was. I was building a foundation on toilet paper. And what was the toilet paper? It was debt. It was no real foundation. I didn't know at that time it was a difference between rich and wealthy.
Oh, for sure.
So if I would have left this world, I would have been in my mind even thinking, I'm leaving this world with leaving my family something. But I'd have been leaving them debt. All debt.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Nothing but debt. So that was the best thing that ever happened to me, going to prison, picking up the right books, getting the right knowledge, getting the right understanding, and said, okay, I'm on a different mission now. I'm on a mission of building wealth for me, my family, and my community, and changing the mindset. For individuals like myself, too, letting people know, I failed, but I can get up. We made the mistake. I'm falling forward. I failed forward into something new.
But I'm going to say something. I'm going to give you, I want to make sure that people hear this, because one thing I respect about you, like just right now, we sit in the room and your son is here. We need more brothers like yourself that are educating that next generation, because sometimes we're so focused on just building wealth for ourselves that we're not thinking about the next generation. And I told my kids over Christmas, and I watch you do this, is I said, people, if they're focused on what I'm building, then they're focused on the wrong thing. Because they're missing what's really getting ready to come, and that's my son and my daughter. Because what I'm doing is I'm imparting in them, because I feel like, hey, I'm halfway through the journey now. So now what I'm going to do is infuse while I'm still alive and everything that I learned to make them 10 times better. So again, I think that's what's key in our community. Is that because we could leave $1 million policy, life insurance, but it's like a football player who gets $100 million and leaves the league bankrupt. They don't know how to work it.
They don't know how to work it.
So it's while I'm here on earth, I'm gonna say, well, no, you're gonna buy this house. What you're gonna do first is keep that $1 million and live off the interest. And we're gonna transfer that principle for generations to come. So again, it's so I just want to say to you, I'm proud for how you speaking to people, because we've had conversations and I've learned, like, hey, I do this for a living, but he said something that I didn't think about, you know, and I've watched you do people around you and your family, and that's major, you know, so.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm going to add this, too, to give people a different mindset. I learned this probably around 10 years ago. To build true generational wealth, to really do it, you don't keep your eye on leaving something for your kids. And my son is here behind the camera. He'll tell you. I told him, I'm really not thinking about him. I'm thinking about his kids.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure that what I build, I can leave it to his kids.
Yeah.
And if I'm leaving it for his kids, I built enough for him too.
Absolutely.
And his job is leaving for his kids. Yeah.
Generation, I mean, for your children's children. For your children's children.
That's what it's about.
And you know, and not even in our family, in our community, we don't do a good job at passing the baton.
Yeah.
So like the Alexes of the world, who's the next Alex? We just talked about this.
Yeah.
Who's the next Alex? Right? And so some of us are smart, or I would say wise enough. I wouldn't say smart. Wise enough to say, I am going to build that next Meltrice in my daughter.
Yes.
Or if I don't have a daughter, I'm going to build that next Meltrice. Because she needs to be here, because otherwise we'll continue to start at the back of the bus. And we're still having the disparity study that just came out. $1.1 billion of procurement construction spend. Only 4.62 of that went to women and minorities, but only 0.59 went to minorities.
I seen that yesterday.
So we're still having the same conversations, and the only way to stop us from having these conversations as a community is to have the wealth conversation more frequently and to transfer that knowledge.
And we have to, even to that though, now we hear you always talking real on here. Trees, no, we have real conversations now. We had the Black Table Talk in our office every morning. And the reality, we didn't need a report to tell us that.
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
All you got to do is ride down to the biggest project in our city and just go behind the fenced off where they got it where you can't see in there, and wait for the cars to come out and peek in there and see how many of our companies you see in there. See how many of our people you see working the project. Go on the freeway when you see the highways and the byways getting done, and see how many of our companies' names are on those trucks. How many people are working.
Or even our people working.
And see, I look at who's working at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's who's getting double and triple time. And I want to see who's really running things. So all that being said is the other thing we must do is we got to stand together. You know, just like when we went to the polls, we showed up and showed out this year. We got to show up the same way to challenge people that we put in those positions beyond the vote to make sure they do right by our community.
Absolutely.
And we got to stop thinking about just ourselves.
I was just about, can't just be about us.
Build, and that's real philanthropy. So I'll be honest, for myself personally, it has become beyond what I'm going to make for a living, what my kids are going to have. It's how much am I going to leave behind to keep this thing moving when I'm gone. So what percentage of your money are you putting away to give to people that you don't know? So,
definitely.
Man,
I agree.
No,
that's it.
We get too passionate.
Listen, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I don't drop the ball on the generation that came before us.
That's right.
You know, they didn't know me. They didn't know you. They didn't know you. They did it for our people.
That's right.
People. For our bloodline. For Noah, they put their life on the line. I just watched one night in Miami, and I was just reminded of that again. These individuals took steps for their people. For no other reason, not just their family. So we have to do that. We're going to be wrapping it up. So real quick, for those that want to reach out or do business with CLE Consulting Firm, what's the best way?
Call our office. We are open every Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 during tax season. It's later. But it's 216-800-9021. You can visit our website, www.cleconsultingfirm.com. We're on every social media platform, Instagram, at CLE Consulting. CLE Consulting Firm.
And you don't charge for just a consultation. If
we do a 30-minute free consultation. Just to kind of see where they're at and see if we're the right firm for them. So definitely reach out to us. Just know when you call us, you're calling a trusted partner that really just not cares about what you're going to pay us. Of course, we have a for-profit business, but we care about seeing businesses in this community build at scale so they can provide jobs, they can become owners, they can build wealth for their family. families in our community. So we're here, man. We're committed. This is a commitment, and it's we're walking in purpose and passion at the same time.
Okay. And you're downtown, right?
Downtown.
In the Ernest Young building, right?
So we're so you don't put us with
no, I'm sorry. No, I couldn't swear.
No, we're in
North Point.
We're in North Point.
With Jones Days.
Lakeside.
Jones Day. So
Yeah.
I knew it was one of those big boy companies.
Yeah.
Ernest Young, Jones Day. It's not a big difference.
Yeah. Accounting.
It's not a big difference in terms of building.
That's
I'm messing with you.
Absolutely.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just teasing with a kid. We're right on the corner of Lakeside and 9th Street, across from City Hall.
Okay.
But we're right there, very conveniently located. And when you come to us, we're on the 15th floor, so you're gonna even feel good going up to that top floor. So just know as you're coming up that elevator and escalator, that's how your business is gonna do. We're trying to elevate people in our community.
Okay,
So.
all right. All right, I appreciate y'all
you
for coming in, and we're gonna try to continue to get the word out and get some
Absolutely.
information out, help some people out.
All right.
Appreciate you.
It was a pleasure.
Peace.
Thanks for having us.